A warm welcome to you. This is Midday News on OGTV. I am Okpeyemi Adewumi. President Bola Tinubu met with leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress amid plans by organized labor to stage a nationwide protest over unresolved demands. The meeting, which took place at the State House, Abuja, followed growing tensions between the federal government and labor unions over issues bordering on workers' welfare, rising cost of living, and the implementation of previously agreed concessions. Confirming the meeting in a statement, the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy to the President, Bayo Ononuga, disclosed that key stakeholders were in attendance. The meeting comes against the backdrop of NLC's recent threat to embark on mass protests nationwide over what it described as the federal government's failure to fully address workers' demands, including relief measures to cushion the impact of economic reforms, wage-related concerns, and broader social-economic hardship faced by Nigerian workers. Organized labor has accused the government of delaying the implementation of agreements reached in previous engagement, warning that failure to act decisively could trigger industrial unrest and street protests across major cities. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged Nigerians not to be apprehensive about the new tax regime scheduled to take effect in 2026, assuring them that the policy will bring relief to the poor, low-income earners and small businesses. The president gave the assurance on Tuesday at the 8th Annual Senator Abiola Ajimobi Roundtable and the 76th posthumous birthday lecture of the late former governor of Oyo State held at the University of Ibadan. Tinubu's message was delivered by the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zaccheaus Adedeji, who commended the late governor for the reforms he initiated during his tenure. Tinubu said recent economic reforms undertaken by his administration were necessary to revitalize the economy, adding that early indicators showed positive outcomes. The president said Nigerians will begin to feel the impact of the reform more strongly in the coming years, particularly through the new tax laws. Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has opened up that the federal government recorded a significant revenue shortfall in the 2025 fiscal year. He noted that while the federal government projected 40.8 trillion naira revenue for this year, it ended up making only 10.7 trillion naira. Edun made the disclosure while appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Finance and National Planning during an interactive session on the 2026 to 2028 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. He recalled that the federal government has projected a revenue target of 40.8 trillion naira in 2025 to fund the 54.9 trillion naira budget of restoration designed to stabilize the economy, secure peace, and lay the foundation for long-term prosperity. In Ogun State, as ministries, departments, and agencies of government in Ogun State began the defense of the 2026 budget proposal, the Chairman House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, Honorable Musefi Lamidi, has described the commencement of the 2026 budget defense session as one anchored on accountability and transparency, with focus on getting value for government resources. Honorable Lamidi, while presiding over the budget defense session, stated that all figures presented before the committee will be thoroughly scrutinized to ensure the completion of ongoing projects, block revenues, leakages, and deliver a people-oriented and sustainable budget. Kalawole Osho's report is presented in this package.
Taking the turn to defend the budget proposal for the 2026 fiscal year, the State Ministry of Information and Strategy, led by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Media and Communication, Mr. Kayode Akinmade, assured that the ministry planned to deploy necessary communication strategies towards publicizing all programs and projects listed under the budget of Sustainable Legacy. According to him, the state is built to celebrate 50th anniversary, adding that the implementation of Sustainable Legacy projects and programs deserved high-level documentation that would rather project government strides.
The state will be 50, and we must also try as much as possible to prepare for an enduring legacy that we are going to live by in terms of publications, documentaries, and many other things.
A total expenditure of 2.67 billion naira was proposed for the next fiscal year, with 476 million naira earmarked for capital projects, 1.6 billion naira for overhead costs, and 577 million naira would take care of personnel. Responding, the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, led by the chairman, Honorable Musa Lamidi, urged the ministry to redouble its efforts at ensuring effective projection and amplification of government activities across ministries, departments, and agencies of government.
We are conducting a rigorous and transparent budget defense process this year. Revenue generating agencies must show some level of improvements and not leakages.
He also called for stronger collaboration between the ministry and other MDAs in highlighting government policies and programs, taking turn to defend the budget proposals of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. The commissioner in charge of the ministry, Chief Sheson Fagbai, presented a total budget proposal of 4.9 billion naira, comprising of 1.006 billion naira for capital projects, 3.4 billion naira for overhead costs, and 495 million naira for personnel expenses. The lawmakers emphasized the need to sustain tourism as a viable revenue source for the state, while encouraging the ministry to expand its initiatives across other tourism assets. Other agencies that defended their 2026 budget proposals before the committee included the Ogun State Television, OGTV, led by its general manager, Tunde Kazeem, with a commendation for its revenue drive, the Ogun State Broadcasting Corporation, OGBC, the Ogun State Printing Corporation, and the Ogun State Signage and Advertising Agency.
The Ogun State government is taking another step towards addressing incidents of building collapse with the launch of a one-day training program for construction professionals on effective monitoring and certifications of buildings. The training, organized under the Built Right Initiative, brought together key stakeholders in the construction industry, including architects, engineers, and builders, with a focus on promoting safety, quality, and strict adherence to the building regulations across the state. Taiwo Blessing report is presented in this package.
Ensuring safety and quality in the built environment remains a priority for the Ogun State government as it intensifies efforts to curb building collapse and substandard construction practices. As part of this drive, the Ogun State Building Production Management Authority organizes a one-day training program on effective monitoring and certification of buildings. The Ogun State Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning, Town Planner Olatunji Odunlami, stresses the role of effective monitoring and certification in preventing building collapse and safeguarding lives and property.
But many of you don't do that. You have to protect somebody on site. This thing you are doing is not right. This enforcement of they are not right. You move all of them. It's not because you hate that person or because you want to be difficult, but because you are conscious of the need to ensure safety of the building.
Speaking on structural drawing standards and compliance requirements, Engineer Larry Ahmed Akpankpa urges builders to obtain necessary permits and approvals before commencing construction and to comply strictly with building codes, zoning regulations, and safety standards. The acting general manager of the Ogun State Building Production Management Authority, Mrs. Titilayo Oladogun, explains that the program is designed to sensitize builders and professionals on existing building regulations and safety standards, with emphasis on compliance and quality assurance in construction projects. Also speaking, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Mr. Shakiruddin, highlights the relevance of the training, describing it as a proactive measure to strengthen professionalism and accountability within the construction industry. Some participants described the training as impactful, noting that the knowledge gained will enhance their professional practice and contribute to safer and more durable construction outcomes.
President Donald Trump has announced expanded entry restrictions on foreign nationals from 24 countries, citing demonstrated persistent and severe deficiencies in screening, vetting, and information sharing that threatens U.S. national security and public safety. The announcement was published on the White House website in a fact sheet titled President Donald Trump further restricts and limits the entry of foreign nationals to protect the security of the United States. According to the fact sheet, the proclamation imposes full suspension on 8 countries and partial suspension on 16 others, affecting immigrants and non-immigrants on B1, B2, B1, B2, F, M, and J visas. Nigeria was listed among the countries subjected to partial restrictions as opposed to a full travel ban imposed on others. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going in and out of Venezuela. In a post on Truth Social, he said Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro government has been designated a foreign terrorist organization and accused it of stealing U.S. assets as well as terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The Trump administration has repeatedly accused Venezuela of drug smuggling, and since September, the U.S. military has killed at least 90 people in strikes on boats it's alleged were carrying fentanyl and other illegal drugs to the U.S. In recent months, the U.S. has also moved warships into the region. Finally, in the world of sport, the Nigerian Football Federation has confirmed that it has initiated a probe into DR Congo's use of ineligible players during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, a development that could reopen Nigerians' paths to the tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. DR Congo eliminated Nigeria after the African playoffs in November after a 4-3 penalty shootout victory in Morocco, a result that ended the Super Eagles' hope of progressing to the FIFA Intercontinental Playoff. However, their participation at that stage could now be in doubt following concerns raised by the NFF over the eligibility of several DR Congo players fielded during the African playoffs.
We are waiting. You heard what I told you. The Congolese rule says you cannot have a dual nationality. Obisaka has a European passport. There are so many of them that have European passport. Some of them French passport. Some of them Dutch passport. So the rules are very clear. FIFA regulation says once you have a passport of your country, you are eligible.
Yes.
Now, as far as we are concerned, they are eligible. That's why they are cleared by FIFA. But our contention is FIFA was deceived.
And with the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, we wrap up the news. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. We've now come to the end of Midday News. Many thanks for watching. Good afternoon.